Welcome back to module number 3. This week we will be shifting our focus to supports. We're going to be talking about family, friends, informal supports, and family caregiving supports. We'll be reading chapters 6 and 7 in our textbook, and then we'll be watching 3 videos that are all up on our Blackboard site. They'll each provide us with some different perspectives about aging and particularly about supports and caregiving. We have 4 learning objectives this week. They are to articulate or understand the difference between family and informal supports and formal supports, and why informal supports are essential for elder care. I might suggest that those informal supports are important our entire life, but particularly important as we get older. Our second objective is to discuss the variety of family and informal supports that exist in communities. Third objective, it is to identify the kinds of family and informal supports and caregiving that exist in communities, including both the benefits and the costs of caregiving. And finally, we're going to begin to understand caregiver burden, its consequences, and some of the approaches to relieving that burden on caregivers. Now let me just share just a few thoughts about our 2 chapters that we'll be taking a look at. First, in chapter 6, we're looking at family and friends and other informal supports. And I said this already, and I truly believe it, we really do need informal supports throughout our entire lives. But as we get older, we discover that we need to think about those supports that elderly people need and want in their life. There are a lot of benefits to informal supports. They help improve our health status. They can prolong our lives. The right kind of supports can help us realize that we have greater personal control over our future and autonomy. Both of those things which are really important as we get older. We find those things very important in our life when we're younger. Well, the same things are true as we get older. Providing social supports actually can also improve our cognitive functioning, how we think, and we want to make sure that we understand the importance of making sure that all of these supports surround people so that we diminish any negative effects that can come with aging. There's also some things in our chapter that you'll discover that as generations age, they age very differently. And it's important for us to keep that in mind as we look at a generation that would have been of my parents or people my age or in generations younger. I'm in the baby boomer generation, but if we look at Generation X and Y and others, millennials, what you'll discover is that when we get married, if we get married, our partners in our lives, the number of children we have, all of those things change the support structure that we have around us. So we have to keep those in mind as people age and as we think about different generations aging. In chapter 7, we're going to move on to informal and family caregiving. And what you'll discover in this chapter is that there's caregiving and then there's informal caregiving. And they're really 2 different things. Caregiving is defined in our text as the act of assisting people with personal care, household chores, transportation, other tasks that we need to support people as they're aging. It can be provided either by family members or it can be provided by professionals who are compensated for their work. And then there's informal caregiving, and that's sometimes used interchangeably with family, but informal caregiving can also be provided by friends and other support networks, and generally this is not compensated for. So again, the difference between caregiving, which is could be either with or without compensation, but it's a very specific set of tasks, as opposed to informal caregiving. And it really is something that can be provided by friends and by neighbors. The other thing I think that will surprise people is that just the sheer number of people in our society who are caring for people who are elderly in their lives our textbook suggests that almost 29% of all adults in the United States are caring for somebody who is elderly, disabled, or who is ill. If you were just to look at the number of people who are providing caregiving to people who are elderly, we're probably talking somewhere in the 10 to 15% range. But that's still a large number of people who are caring for an elderly person in their lives. I'm going to wrap up now by talking about our assignments for this week, and then we'll finish off with one more tip. On Saturday, September 2nd, you will be handing in, again, your video participation quiz, so you'll be answering questions about this video. And then you'll also have your first discussion post. On Tuesday, the 5th of September, you will be doing your chapter quiz, and you will be doing 2 more discussion posts. And by September 5th, you should have completed your interview. We've gotten a couple of requests from people who are finding it difficult to find somebody over the age of 70, so Kiki and I are going to do our best to figure out how to troubleshoot those situations. But for the rest of you, your interview should be completed by this time so that you can get the rest of the work done on your paper and presentation. And this week, a couple of tips. One, check on the course conversations section of our Blackboard site. Lots of great questions from your classmates. Sometimes your classmates jump in and answer the questions, and then there are times when either Kiki or I answer those questions. But if they're questions that one of your classmates have, it's likely that you have a question as well. And then make sure you check the grading rubrics that are also on the left-hand column, menu column of our Blackboard website, to make sure that you know exactly how you'll be graded on each assignment. You'll know exactly what to do then as you're completing your assignments. And that's all for this week. Thanks.